Hello friends and welcome to another video. In this video I want to talk about some changes that I made in my crossover and unit selection, so compression driver selection. And this will be an add-on to the video I did on selecting the drivers for the voice of Lancelot. So this will be an update because I discovered some elements around using drivers, which is pretty common knowledge, but I want to go into it nonetheless and give you some hints and clues about this. And yes, I'll get into it now, and then we'll get back to my crossover and the new setup, and I'll also post in the next videos something about that and some new sound clips and ideas that come from the new setup. But first, one of the things that is quite common knowledge is really to use drivers in their optimal domain. Now, as you've maybe been aware of that, for example, this driver that I'm been using, which is the Electro Voice DH1A, and I chose the driver A because it was available, but it also sort of looked to have the right specifications, because, you know, after EQing, this is the natural response, the bottom line, and then with EQ, this would be the response. And then you get a quite, you know, my thought was, of course, you get quite a full range driver. Normally the driver has sort of a drop off from about 3 kilohertz, and it runs off minus 6 dB per octave. So that's really easy to sort of lift up. But the only thing is, and this is really the point about choosing your drivers for a voice of Lancelot, is how good does the driver sound outside its ideal domain? Now the problem is, and this is quite generic, is that titanium diaphragm compression drivers have very specific breakup modes. And they're worse than aluminium, and beryllium is even better, and that seems to absorb a lot, which almost has no or very minute audible artifacts when it actually goes in their breakup regions. And where is this in my driver? I think it is around here, 8 to 9 kilohertz, where it starts breaking up, and then you get sort of a peak, which has to do, I think, with the dimension, the opening of the port of the chamber above the compression, or above the diaphragm, so where it's actually compressing. And so you get a peak output. Now the peak output is not so much, I mean, it's a bit, it's not so nice in your frequency response, and it will lift those tones out a bit abnormally. But the problem is more the breakup regions. And I think when Janos from Real World Audio designed his voice of Lancelot, one of the things that he chose was the Altec 288, and that seems to have very gentle breakup modes there, or inaudible, so he could actually use it full range and didn't actually need the fill-in of a super tweeter, and he didn't have to actually run this off or put a crossover in there. And so that's a great plus if your compression driver can do that. Now one of the materials that I've sort of read now that has it less is, for example, I think the Altec 290, and GPA later released the Altec 390, and those have a phenolic diaphragm, and apparently those ones have a very gentle, you know, very non-audible breakup region, and so those are ideally suited for that. So aluminium is better than the titanium one that I've got there. I was initially concerned with this driver that I would hear that titanium type of thing, but I didn't. But you can hear the breakup modes quite well. So what I've done now to the crossover to circumvent it is actually to, instead of from 3 kilohertz sort of running it up by 6 dBs, giving it more signal, because this thing is so efficient, there's a lot of signal left, there's a lot of power left to actually increase the amount of energy. But then the problem is you start agitating the regions where the driver is not optimal, and you're feeding it extra energy to just get your frequency response flat. So what I've done now with my crossover is run it from about 8 kilohertz, so have it flat until 8 kilohertz, and then it drops off with 6 dB. So it's leveling. So the response curve is a bit more like that. Rather than completely flat to 20 kHz, I just gave up on that region. And I think what it has done, together by the way, by lifting the crossover from 300 to 500 Hz, so that to not have the driver have either too much excursion or to feed too much energy to the breakup region. And I must say that has improved the sound quite a lot. Now, I still think I will at some point probably replace it, but together with another change, which I'll sort of deal with in my next video, it sounds now very good. So I'll be happy to live with this type of setup for a while probably. It's finally getting to a level where I think it's very pleasurable to listen to and very coherent. Yes. So. Other drivers for those of you that are designing and maybe want to buy a new unit and not go on the hunt of rare Alnico compression drivers. I was following a thread on DIY audio website, and one of the things that people have been working with was with the Great Plains Audio Altec 416 as a base unit. And they married it up with this driver, which is a Radian, so Radian Compression Driver 645 Neo. And if you look at its frequency response graph, you can see that and they were crossing it at 700 Hertz, 700-800 Hertz, and it has a very flat response, and then it has a minute dip. If I look, it's probably 2 dBs. Between 10 and 16 kilohertz, so 11 and 16 kilohertz, and then it starts dropping off. I think that is a very good option, and it's definitely on my list. The other one is slightly bigger. It's also a 3-inch driver, and but with a 2-inch exit, and again. Very nice, I think, frequency response graph. I think very usable. A bit lower self-frequency, so I think this is lowered a bit, so you can probably cross it a bit lower, even 600-700 Hertz or so. 700 Hertz, definitely. So yeah, and of course, if you have the money, yeah, go for the beryllium version, because people are commenting positively about it, but for the moment, so I think this is reasonably affordable if you compare that now to the prices of Altec 288s and so on, or comparable drivers. So yeah, I'll probably be trying one of those. The only problem I'm facing here, because I'm in Australia, is just the sheer high shipping cost. We're talking $200 to ship this actually to where I am. There's some other websites that sell it cheaper. Sometimes they're on eBay from Speaker Addicts, and there might be some other stores, but some of them only deliver in the US and Canada. So, but anyway, to pay $200 on top of this for shipping, that's quite a bit. Anyway, those I think are good options, and have some track record of actually having users being very happy with them, and having them combined with an Altec woofer. So if you're in the market or looking to combine your or set up a Voice of Lancelot with Voice of Lancelot type drivers and speakers, and you don't have an unrestricted budget, these might be a good option for you. And I'll probably be checking them out later, but as I said, I've just made some recent change and by actually getting the driver out of its uncomfortable regions and just stop feeding energy into it, it has so improved quite a lot, and I'm very happy with the performance together with another change. But more of that in the next video. So far, thank you for listening. I hope you got something out of it. And if you have any questions, just post them in the video. I'll generally get back to you within 1 or 2 days. Usually quicker, but it can vary. And yeah, I'll hope to catch you in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.